I talk to you because I have something to teach. Many come here to teach, but how many of them are actually teachers? My actual training, I was professionally trained as a teacher, and I've taught at the elementary level, the middle school level, the high school level, and the university level, and the graduate school level in a paid capacity. It's different. Come on now. They're here to make $1. I'm here to make a difference. Understand. And not all of you will. I speak to the leadership class. I don't speak to the dimwits. They'll never get it. This is why you guys are so foolish. Check this out. You're so foolish because the moment you start talking about the issues of people of color, you're never going to get your problem solved because your problems are different than other people of color. Because Asians are people of color. Do you think they have the same problems as blacks? No, they don't. The Asians do beautifully. Shout out to the Koreans, very civilized people. They come and they set up corner stores, liquor stores, hair and beauty, everything, even in black communities. And they do very well financially. So they're financially empowered. And then you look at educational attainment among Asians who are people of color, and they perform swimmingly because they have strong families and they respect their own culture. Not from an Asian perspective, because what the heck does that mean? But I'm talking about their real culture. If you're Chinese on Saturdays, you go to Chinese school. If you're Korean, you study the Hangul. You speak your language well. If you're Thai, you have respect for that which you are. You might even know your history. So they do very well. Do you have the same challenges as those people of color? No, they're known as the model minority. You are known as the opposite, the lowest on the totem pole, yet you're a person of color. Then you identify with the Latinos or Hispanics. They're people of color. Are all of them? No, some of them are legitimately white. They're legitimately Europeans. I personally know a lot of them that they have blue eyes. This is a European expression here. This is phenotypically European. They're actually white. Their ethnicity is Latino from whatever country, Dominican, Mexican, Argentina, whatever. But their race is white. But you still call them people of color and identify with them. And then they can still benefit from the things you benefit from as a person of color, even though they present as a white person. And if white privilege exists, they would benefit from it. Use your brain. Then you got other Latinos that are blacker than I am. I've seen them in Veracruz, Mexico. In Puerto Rico, in La República Dominicana, various places. So there's such a range there. Even within Latino, they ain't even the same. So how is it that all of the peoples of the earth except the whites are the same to you? You guys are brainless, utterly brainless, you blacks. How could you ever win? You don't care about yourself to say, hey, we're going to focus just on us. Kid you not. I see black folks that are like, free Palestine. I'm like, look, you're in poverty. Why don't you free you? You're still on EBT. Figure that out first. You're like, Marquella, you support Palestine? I do, but I also travel around the world and have not a care on earth. Like, I'm in the leisure class. I have time to figure this stuff out and to, work at it. That's what the leisure class and the leadership class is supposed to do. We got time. You still work at Walmart. Like, once you figure that out, then worry about other people. The problem is you're worried about things that don't concern you at all. And I'll tell you a funny story, and I've told it before, and I'll tell you the short version. But way before Palestine had their most recent issues, I was at an event which was raising money for Palestine, and I was the biggest donor there. They actually treated me like rubbish there, the Palestinians. I didn't judge the Palestinian people based on that because I have good friends who are Palestinian. These are Palestinian Americans. I have good friends that are Palestinians from Palestine, honorable people, good people. But the fact of the matter is, you really got to understand what time it is and understand the world. Like, most of you blacks have no business supporting or trying to figure out what's going on in Palestine, and the Africans even less so. The Africans are in utter poverty. For example, the Kenyans are on the brink of social unrest and revolution because their government is overtaxing basic goods. These people are going deeper into poverty. And the Africans are over here talking about, like, we need to help settle the Ukraine situation. A European conflict? Since when did the Europeans care about your black ASSs? Are you guys imbecile? Well, I guess you are. And you always have been. That's why you keep losing year after year, decade after decade. Imagine Africans trying to help mediate situations in Europe between Ukraine and Russia. Imagine. The Africans are so silly. There's only a couple African nations that I can respect, Botswana being one of them. Not South Africa. They get my least amount of respect. Shout out to the Shona in Zimbabwe. Shout out to their leadership. previously under the great Robert Mugabe. Let's talk about it. Anyways, may I acknowledge via PayPal? Shout out to Jalen. He writes, "Peace of the Saints. The only thing school ever taught me about African Americans was slavery when I was in the first grade. School then taught me about MLK. Oh, bet they did. In the second grade on purpose, right? They repeat these teachings all the way until I graduated high school. Any resources you can point me to so I can learn about myself and my past?" You see, that's a good question. If you go to, and if someone would type this out for one of the moderators, drop it in the chat. If you would go to amazon.com/shop/the Saint and the Sinner spelled out, I have a book list there. There's some phenomenal books there on various topics, but particularly on your history as a Black person. And you'd be wise to read them. You have to know that the holidays that you celebrate have been created by the government. So the government would only select the persons that they favor, Martin Luther King being one of them, because he was ineffective. They favor those who are ineffective. And so you learn about the Blacks who are comical, right? They're jokesters. You learn about what's the one who just sat on her butt and she got famous for sitting on her butt? Rosa Parks. Yeah, Rosa Parks. Yeah, she sat on her butt. We want to celebrate her. Why do they celebrate that? So that you never, ever, ever get it in your head that you should maybe do something like a man, something aggressive, something proactive and action oriented. Can't say what it really is. Maybe bear arms. That's how the colonists got their freedom from the British, bearing arms. They make sure that you idolize those who say, I have a dream that one day we will all get along and Black kids and white kids will sit together. And then the other one that's like doing sit-ins. But is that what they did? How did they acquire this land? By taking it from the people we call Native Americans, the indigenous here. That's how they acquired this land. Through blood and steel. How did they get free of the British? Through war. How did they rearrange the United States as they wanted it? Through something called the Civil War. How do they get what they want around the world and extract resources and control and force the dollar onto various peoples? Colonialism, neo-colonialism, invasion. Yet they tell you to be peaceful and to do sit-ins and to, be nice and sweet. They want you docile, just like they did during slavery. Except now it's not just you Blacks that are the slaves. They become so wicked that they'll enslave anyone for $1. They'll enslave those who look like them for $1. There's no such thing as white anymore. Whites don't care about each other. The Blacks don't care about each other. The peoples of the earth have become so wicked in that they only care for profit endlessly. You ever notice when you see guys like Bernie Madoff and all these characters, they didn't say, hey, I'm not doing so well. I just want to get to $1 million. These balls already had $1 million. They said, I'm trying to get to $1 billion. I need more money than I can spend. They said, I already got a house and a vacation house. I need another one. Psychotic levels of greed. It's not just the people here. In Vietnam, a country I put a lot of money into, I have a great respect for the Vietnamese people. There was recently a woman in Vietnam who was doing deals with the government. She stole $1 billion. Do you have any sense of how poor Vietnam is? It's extraordinarily poor. The fact that they even had $1 billion to steal is amazing. But she damn sure did steal it. Now, you live in a place like Vietnam. If you got 100,000 USD, you a king there. You got $1 million USD, you're a god. What was she seeking to be? These people are sick. There's so many broken humans around us. Come on. We're going to get into it today. I was in Vietnam when I took guys on the men's trip. I took them up to see one of the most beautiful monuments in the world that I've even ever seen. In my opinion, one that's more breathtaking than the Great Wall of China. So we climb high up into the mountains on cable cars. And we get way up in the mountains of Vietnam. We've left the flatlands of Vietnam, which are impoverished. All the Vietnamese people live there. We go high up in the mountains, and all of a sudden, damn, niggas then built a castle in the top of the fucking mountain? To build a castle this big on the ground, it would be expensive. To put it on the top of a mountain, I don't even know how you did that. That's extraordinarily expensive.
And then you put an enormous, beautiful bridge that goes nowhere. It's just for the beauty of the sight. And then you have these huge cable cars that go up for 30 minutes. And I turned to one of the saints, and I don't know if they understood the gravity and the nature of what I'm trying to explain to them about human life and human beings. I said, the leaders of this society, they could have taken the billions that were spent to create this tourist heaven, and they could have improved the roads, created good quality schools, and improved sanitation, and removed all the random rodents and rats, and improved life greatly for the Vietnamese people way down there. But instead, they're like, nah, fuck those people. Let's build a castle in the mountains. Let's build a castle in the mountains that's only open some of the year and some of the day, that foreigners who are wealthy can come to, and most Vietnamese citizens will never see. Let's build a castle in the sky. And it's something that breaks your heart when you think about how a government will steal your money in taxes and then take your money that they could use to help you and then build a castle in the sky or build a bomb that they'll send abroad. They won't pay to sustain life in their country, but they'll pay to take away life in another country. They won't pay to sustain your happiness as a citizen, but they'll pay to create pretty objects for foreigners to come stare at.